Boys, it's chinned. UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hernandez just wrapped up about 45 minutes ago. And it was a hell of a main card, which topped off what would have otherwise been one of the worst cards I've watched in my life. These prelims were fucking terrible. Starting off with the main event. By the way, I think I went about 8-5 on the card. I think it was 8-5 is the number. Which is, less than desirable, but I got the ones that mattered correct. Sean Strickland's TKO'd Anthony Hernandez in the third round. I said it would happen in the fourth. I said that he'd pressure him big and just wilt him over time. I said that the body shots were there. Nothing that other people weren't saying that were picking Strickland, but there was a heavy lack of people picking Strickland, which is was surprising. I think, and still do think, that Fluffy is just a product of easy matchmaking. I don't think he's a top 5 fighter in this division. I think he has exceptional cardio, but I think that he's one of the most overrated ranked fighters in the sport. He's soft everywhere. He's got that classic Mexican toughness, but he doesn't show it in his style other than the cardio. Like, he's not technically good. He just has better cardio than everyone. You match it with a guy like Strickland, who can just go the same pace the entire fight, just like Fluffy. You're looking at a significantly worse grappler, significantly worse striker against Sean Strickland. I mean, that's what it is. And that's what happened. He outclassed him completely and TKO'd him. The volume looked good. He got caught here and there, Strickland. But he looked good nonetheless. This is a great win. Great bounce back from the losses that he's been having. Even the Costa fight you can't consider a win. I mean, this is the first good performance we've seen from Strickland since he won the belt against Adesanya. I think he won the first Strikers fight, but regardless, he didn't look like this. This was a great performance. And Fluffy's a layup to me. I'm sorry, but the second this fight got announced, I really did think Strickland was going to beat him up, and that's what happened. Medic and Geoff Neal. I just want to take this fight into consideration. Most people are picking Neal here. Most people were betting Neal. Everybody thought Medic was a pushover. Geoff Neal just got knocked out a couple months ago. Out cold. Spinning elbow. Unlike he's ever been knocked out in his career. That's his 8th loss to Medic here. Geoff Neal is entering what if and journeyman territory after this fight. I said Medic would just go in and fucking steamroll him. Geoff Neal has no... Geoff Neal is the most inconsistent fighter maybe in the history of this division. He will show up one day and look like he could kill God. And the next day he'll show up and he'll lose to a guy like Medic, who I don't even think is very great, but has bank potential to bring him to the top 5 of this division if he wanted to. If he found the shots in his fights. He's got the KO power. Do I think he'll ever be top 5? Absolutely fucking not. Is he in the top 10 from this? I don't believe so based on the rankings, but he should be borderline. I think he would have a close fight with Buckley. I think it'd be a close back and forth bang fest for about 2 minutes until somebody gets flatlined. That's where I think Medic is in the division. He is fluky enough to get to a crazy high spot that nobody would expect to see him in. But regardless, I picked Medic to run through Neal, and he did. Neal looked good, for the 3 punches he threw in the fight, but he's getting old and that chin's going. I'd like to see Neal take an easier fight with way less risk. Medic is a dangerous fight for anybody, A guy with that much power and just he pushes balls to the wall and bangs it out. That's a guy that's fun to watch. One of the most must-watch fighters in the UFC, Uros Medic. Moving on, Melky Costa knocks out Dan Ige. What? I picked Dan Ige here. I believe it was like a late TKO or decision. But I was pretty confident. I was thinking Costa was just like kind of overrated. But wow. Wow. I mean, I have nothing to say. I'm gonna take this one on the fucking chin. I got nothing to prove, man. Melky just fucking outright smoked what I thought would happen. First person ever to finish Dan Ige. Bet you nobody thought he'd do it that way. I bet you nobody thought it would be Melky that does it. What a streak he's on. If he decisioned him, I'd say, okay, you know what? That's a good win. Give him somebody like Giga or somebody like, I don't know who's coming off of a loss, like Arnold Allen or, somebody like that, of that nature. Give him somebody like that. But knocking him out, finishing Dan Ige already would have been crazy. If he's knocking him out in the way that he did is fucking crazy to me. I don't know if anybody was as shocked as I was watching that, because Dan Ige is one of the most unfinishable guys in the UFC until tonight, and he wilted. He got fucking knocked out. It was a little bit of a meh stop, but like if there were 10 more seconds left, you stop it. Just because like 4 seconds left, you can kind of like, some refs would have just like let it go. Like, all right, he could definitely make it to the second. He's not out cold. But regardless, insane performance from Costa. Because he finished him, give him a guy like Yadier. You have to give him a top like 6, top 5, top 6, top 7 guy, in my opinion, just because of the nature of the win. If he decisioned him, it'd be different. I'd say give him a bit more of a, lower ranked guy, but Melky's undeniable. Moving on, this fight happened. It was an alright fight. I picked Ante by TKO, I think. It was an alright fight. It wasn't as bad as some of these other fights. It happened. It happened. I don't have anything to say about these fucking heavyweight fights lately, man. I really don't. This fight fucking... I'm not gonna break down the future of Spivak's career, and Ante has always been a PFL can. Jacoby Smith fucking destroyed Josiah Harrell. I saw a lot of people picking Harrell. They must just not know who Harrell is and how he fights. He hasn't looked good since he had this brain problem. He came back and hasn't looked good. He's been a sloppy, fluky finisher fighter. And before he was doing that in his career, but he was looking a lot neater. He came in, he looked sloppy. It looked like every punch that was hitting him was wobbling him. And also, Jacoby Smith is... I'm not trying to shit on Harrell. I'm just trying to say I don't think he belongs here. Jacoby Smith is an outstanding prospect. I mean, ground and pound of that level is just unheard of these days. People play it safe with that kind of grappling and that kind of, getting into that position. People play it safe these days with a style like Jacoby Smith. Jacoby Smith went in there and fucking ground and pound the shit out of Harrell and flatlined him. Terrible stoppage. That ref wanted him dead. That ref wanted him back in the hospital. Feel bad for Harrell after watching that. Moving on to Michel Pereira and Zach Reese. Michel Pereira looked alright. This is the first time he's looked alright in quite a while. It didn't get flatlined, so it's definitely better. I scored this for Pereira. I saw that there was a lot of people saying it was controversial. The fight was alright, so who actually gives a shit? And it's more fun to have Michel Pereira off a win than Zach Reese. So, that fight happened. Chitty Bang Bang, Carlos Leal. Man, what a fucking fight, huh? This didn't get fight of the night. Dana is off one, dude. What the fuck is that bald retard doing? You gotta help a bald homie out, too. Like, this fight was awesome. I picked Chitty. Chitty by KO, I believe. Man, I'm not even upset about losing that one. That was just a fucking banger all around in the phone booth. Second round was a bit slower, but the first and third, they were just in the pocket banging against the fence. Dan Hooker might like that. But yeah, I mean, Carlos Leal is a beast. I thought that he'd have a weaker chin considering the KO that he was coming off of. And Chitty looked as good as I thought he would look, but he just got outbanged. Carlos Leal, man. I don't think he's great, but he's good. I think anybody who beats Chitty is a good fighter. Like, Chitty's a good benchmark fighter to beat, like a Drew Dober type, in my opinion. Moving on to Ode versus this guy. This fight sucked. Ode's a fucking journeyman. He has 10 losses now. He's 13-10. That's an ugly-ass record. I get that there are some fighters that are better than their records. Ode might be one of them in some circumstances, but he really doesn't win, doesn't he? He really doesn't win. Nothing to say. This guy's not overly impressive either. He didn't look too great. Moving on, though, to a flyweight that did look great. Alden Correa. I didn't really know who he was before this card. I know that he made his debut in the UFC, but I just couldn't remember it. This guy, I'm not surprised to see that he's training with people like Joshua Van. This guy's a damn good boxer. Not as polished as Van, but he's got his strengths. This guy is going places, in my opinion. He's definitely one of my favorite prospects in the UFC right now. It was a very impressive win. It got a little, choppy at some points, but that'll happen with a guy like Garule, who's just nonstop, pedal to the metal, fucking pressure the shit out of you. Good win, impressive performance. One of the only good fights on these prelims. These prelims were terrible, for the record. Just want to say. Not a hot take. Everybody believed it, but just want to say, for future record, you watching this back, this shit fucking stunk. This was one of the interesting parts of the prelims, but it was a bad fight leading up to it. Jocelyn Edwards fucking cracked this girl's shoulder open, whatever the fuck happened. Man, this was a nasty one. Jocelyn's good. She's a rare good women's fighter. I mean, she's on what, 3 finishes in a row, 4 finishes I think it is in a row. That's impressive. I don't care who you are. It's a nice change up in the women's divisions to get somebody who's actively looking to finish and actually like threatening people. Good win. Moving on. This fight was all right. I picked Ramiz, I believe. I knew that the body kicks and trying to deprive Puna of his cardio as soon as possible would do well, and he was doing so well, Ramiz, in the first round with those body kicks. And it was a good fight in the first. They were kind of banging. But Ramiz just quickly abandoned the body kicks and all that and just started getting rolled through. And Puna just grinds you out. He's gay too, which is cool. We love Puna for that. Puna's funny. Moving on. John Paul Lesbian. We got another gay over here. John Paul Lesbian pretty much outclassed Phil Rowe on the ground and kind of just kept his distance enough to not get KO sniped like Phil Rowe tends to do in his fights. But Phil Rowe, it looked to me like he was able to get this KO at any point that he wanted to. I'm surprised that this fight played out the way it did, in the sense that, like, after the first round, I was like, okay, yeah, Phil Rowe's probably going to knock this guy out. But he just decided to stand there and not really do anything. That level of gun shy won't get you very far, and that might be the end of Phil Rowe's career in the UFC, depending on, yeah. Ugly, man. He's lost 4 of his last 6. That's an ugly record at the moment. Moving on to, boys, my favorite prospect in the UFC got fraud checked right after I released my favorite prospects to watch in the UFC video. But that's alright. I'm still on the Yadier Del Valle train. I'm just surprised it happened to a guy like Levitt. I was never confident Del Valle would get through, undefeated to the top 10 or top 5. But I thought there was a shot, and it's Jordan Levitt that ragdolls you? Oh, man. Ugly, man. I don't know what to say. I'm still, it's still Yadier Del Valle FC over here, bro. I fucking love this piece of shit. He can't grapple, but he's still fucking beautiful. This is still my boy! I fucking love Yadier Del Valle. Moving on to the last fight of the night. Carly Judas versus Juliana Miller. Rare good woman's fighter. This girl's actually good. She could strike. She actually has, like, finishing instinct. Yeah, nothing else to say about that one. The prelim sucked. The main card was where it was at. They robbed Chitty of his fight in the night. Everybody else who got performance deserved it. Wow, Uros Medic flatlines Joff Neal. Incredible. That's one of the highlights for sure. Melky knocking out Dan Ige is completely unpredictable. I can't believe that happened. And Sean Strickland, I picked him to win. I've been picking him for months. Incredible win. A good end to what otherwise would have been terrible. Hey man, you can't doubt Strickland, and you can't pick a guy whose best win is fucking Roman Dolidze. All right, this has been Chinned. We banged the main event out finally. See you on the next one. Goodbye.